Today on Ask Miyazaki, we talk about organic following on social media, desensitization of social media ads, and whether social media has caused us to lose touch in our marketing interactions. Paula asks, what will the future of social media marketing hold? As technology evolves, will people become desensitized to social media ads? This is a classic question, Paula, that applies not only to social media ads and marketing efforts, but to human behavior in general. Will we, with enough exposure to some type of stimulus, end up noticing that stimulus less and less as time goes on? When banner ads first came out, they started as simple text at the top or bottom of our screens, but quickly evolved into larger and larger images of colorful text, flashing lights, and eventually full-fledged animation. Why? Because marketers noticed that we all stopped noticing the banner ads. Every time a social media platform like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter comes out with a new algorithm for their news feeds, it seems like that's just a secret way of saying, we want to get you to see and engage with more advertiser content. And it usually works. Consider how you browse your social media channels now versus how you might have browsed them even only 6 months ago. You're probably noticing more paid content now, even though it might be the same amount of paid content as before. So, the answer to your question is yes, we become desensitized to social media ads, but then the puppeteers develop new ways to pull us in and new ways to measure our engagement so that all those social media advertising dollars, hopefully at least for those companies, are not going to waste. Daniela asks, what is the best way for a brand or company to get an organic following on social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter? The mystery and fantasy of organic. A few years ago to WordCamp conference, I was talking with Syed Balkhi, who's been incredibly successful with his digital ventures. We were discussing the concept of pure organic growth. And he more or less said that it was a myth, except for the rarest of cases. Now, this guy has example after example of how he's been able to achieve high growth rates in YouTube, Facebook, blogs, websites, etc. And essentially, he's saying that when we see social media accounts with high numbers of followers or visitors, it's likely because someone did something to make that happen. In other words, it was not necessarily purely organic. Now, when I think about social media or other digital growth, I like to break that growth down into 3 categories: paid growth, organic growth, and orchestrated growth. Paid growth is when you pay for the promotions or ads or clicks that'll result in the growth of your social media channels, hopefully on the social media platforms themselves and not trying to buy followers from some third-party group that could very well get your social media accounts shut down. Paid growth often can be a very expensive way to grow your accounts. Organic growth is on the other end of the continuum. It's what just happens when you're just focusing on your channels or accounts and people just happen to notice you and happen to share your posts or videos, etc. with others, and then organically build up your audience. But that's just a lot of just happening or chance involved in that process, which means that it's not really the best way to grow social media platforms for a business. But then there's that huge middle ground that spans the distance between paid growth and organic growth. It's orchestrated growth. Orchestrated growth is what happens when you examine the marketplace, understand the needs of your audience members, and then develop content that's targeted toward those people. It's when you purposely provide the right content at the right time to the right people who you think will pass it on to others. It's when you build content that's not just useful, but is shareable so that you can use the power of social media networks to do what most advertisers still have to pay a lot of money to do when they focus on paid social instead of orchestrated. Of course, there's always the possibility that all 3 will work in tandem. You pump some of your awesome content using paid, which benefits from your efforts to orchestrate, and maybe, just maybe, something organic will catch on and you'll be pleased with the results. But for now, focus on the idea of orchestrating your social media marketing efforts, and do not, I repeat, do not just hope that organic growth will just happen to occur. Amanda asks, can a business run on only social media ads and be successful? What about B2B interaction and personal interaction? Have we lost touch? Thanks for this question, Amanda. It's a bit ironic, though, that you're asking if we've lost touch with our use of social media. But I think you're onto something here. We have lost touch with the idea that social media is supposed to be, well, social. When we connect with our various social media audiences, we're letting them know that we're listening to them and addressing their concerns or their questions or their observations. And this shows that we actually care about them and what they think. We're not just using social media platforms to speak or publicize or promote, which is what has been done for the past 100 years of mass media. This does not mean that we need to address every single concern one-on-one. Huge companies like Coke or Nike or Starbucks would never be able to respond to every social media post that mentions their brands. But they can evaluate the collective set of responses, understand which questions or concerns or issues are being raised more frequently, and then provide information that remedies the concerns or addresses the issues. More importantly, they can do this not just with some new advertisement, but they can focus in on one or more of the people who reached out to them and respond directly with this information. That way, number one, the collective issue is resolved. Number two, some individual audience members were able to get personal responses. And number three, they have a stronger chance that their social interactions will be shared with the massive social media network so that the message is spread in a seemingly organic fashion. So, what should marketers do? 5 steps. Whether you're a B2C or B2B, first, use social media to monitor audience sentiment. Second, identify key customers, as in people within organizations, to whom you can direct a response. Third, develop a response in a way that addresses more than one person. Fourth, orchestrate sharing of that response on multiple channels. And fifth and finally, continue to monitor for audience reactions. If we as marketers do all that, we'll find the touch points that we've lost and turn social media back into a conversation rather than a one-way information delivery system. Well, that's all for today. Thank you very much for the questions. I always appreciate them. Keep the questions coming. Send them through Twitter using the hashtag AskMiyazaki. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of Ask Miyazaki, Monday's Marketing Minute, or whatever else comes your way. And have a great day.